Molly and I here. We're in the truck and we're getting ready to head into town. It's a beautiful Monday morning, but I honestly feel like I'm running out of time to do these outdoor garden projects. There's still a few things that I need in order to fulfill a couple of these bucket list items. So I thought that Molly and I would just hit the week running and head on into town, get a couple of the things that we need on our list. That way I'll have everything. So if Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, I feel like I'm ready to get back out in the yard and tackle a few of these projects, I'll have everything that I need to do so. So I think Molly's going to take a little sleepy nap in the truck as we make our way into town. She is a car baby and she loves to sleep in the car. So I'm going to let her take her little nap and come along with us and we'll see what all we can find. Molly, you ready to go bye-bye? You ready to go bye-bye in the car with Mama? On the way out, I went by and picked up my mom to join me. And of course, I had Molly with me too. And we made a little afternoon out of it. Honestly, days like this are some of my favorite kinds. They're never rushed, there's no big agenda, just time to walk around and talk, pick out plants we probably don't need, and catch up on life. It's one of those small joys that means more than it looks like from the outside. And this last trip to the garden center, it felt different. Like I could feel the shift. The heat was sharp, the air was still. Everything looked brighter but somehow heavier. And that's when it hit me. Summer wasn't just on its way, it was here. We stopped in to take a little break at a local coffee shop before continuing on to Hobby Lobby, where we hit up the clearance section. I found a few little goodies for my cottage and garden and also purchased a couple faux botanicals for my front porch. And we finished up our day at Lowe's and I got a few stone pavers for an upcoming garden project, which I'll show you later on in this video. Good morning, friends. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and I have a couple more great outdoor projects that I'm hoping to work on. Not only am I going to continue to work on my new garden bed, see about getting some flowers planted into that, but I also have a hose reel sent to me from Vago Garden. It is such an awesome item, and I'm going to try to get it attached to a 4x4 post. First, I need to get that 4x4 post down into the ground, and David's going to help me with that. So come along with us, and we'll see if we can get started on our projects. Summer is complicated for me. The heat is intense, the humidity weighs me down. It's hard to feel like myself when the air feels heavy and when I'm sweating just by standing still. I don't feel energized in this season. I don't feel inspired. I feel tired, slow. Some days it's just hard to show up for anything at all. So this is where we plan to put the hose reel. We have our old hose right here, and it's going to be a lot nicer to have it organized right here where this pre-existing little plant is, this bush. We're going to get rid of this. But this little garden of mine, it's helped me stay grounded. Even though it's small, really small, I've been learning to work with what I have. There's not much space. I don't have endless rows of raised beds or a big yard to spread out in, and sometimes I struggle to find places to put new plants or keep things from crowding each other out. But I'm grateful for this space. I'm learning how to make the most of what I've got, learning which spots get the best light, how to grow in planters and pots and raised beds, how to accept that I can't grow everything, but I can grow something. Good morning from day 2 of our outdoor garden project. We're still going to be working on the hose reel today, and we just let the concrete set up overnight so that it's nice and solid. And this is a very heavy hose reel, but I think as deep as we went with the 4x4 post, it'll be able to hold it well. So let's head on over there and see how it's going.
Come on, baby, take a leap of faith. We got a love that's worth the wait. Darling, you've been on my mind. Gonna love you to the end of time. And I know you're the one. Our story's just begun. I'm never gonna let you go. With your love I'd never be alone. There's only one thing I
So that's a wrap on today's project. We got the hose reel all assembled on the post. It looks really great. It works even better. It has amazing aim, so easy to use. The convenience is unmatched. And I want to thank Vago Garden again for sponsoring this portion of today's video. I absolutely love their products. I know you will too. Be sure to follow the link in the description and use my code to save on your first order with Vago Garden. I know you won't be disappointed with them. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and let's see what we get up to next. Love you guys. Me, a garden girly? Unexpected but true. I never envisioned myself as a gardener. I never thought that working in my yard would grow to become such a hobby for me. I guess I am that person now, and that I've cultivated a strong interest for gardening, which has somewhat become my identity. And even when summer drains me, even when I'm not thriving or productive or inspired, I still find these small, quiet moments of joy to be rewarding. Like seeing a new leaf pop up or a flower bloom where I didn't expect it. Or just sitting in the shade with the plants I've helped grow. This garden reminds me, growth doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to keep going. And I used to think that summer was supposed to be a time to shine. Long days, big energy, bright everything. But that's never really been my season. The heat is heavy, the humidity is thick. I move slower, I think slower. And it's hard not to feel like I'm falling behind while the world is out there sunbathing and thriving. Truth is, summer kind of knocks me down. The things that usually make me feel like myself, walks, movement, creative energy, they all feel distant in this weather. And I used to think that meant I just had to wait it out. But then, somehow, gardening happened. I never imagined I'd be the kind of person who talked about potting soil, or got excited about worms, or rearranged pots like they're furniture. But here I am. I guess I'm that person now. The one who names their aloe plant, the one who proudly says things like, "It's thriving," about rosemary. Maybe you can relate, or maybe you just think I'm silly about it all. But nonetheless, it's interesting that I'm finding all this out about myself. Hey everyone, good morning. It's Molly and I here. We're out on the front porch just enjoying a new, fresh, beautiful day. And I have a few new plants and flowers that I want to put into my new Evergrove Wood Grain Series bed from Vago Garden. As you know from earlier, I only had a few items to throw in there, but I kind of spaced them out and saved room for a few new items. Went to Ace Hardware, which I honestly feel is probably going to be my last trip to a garden center this spring, which is a bit sad, but it's starting to get really hot and I just know that I need to wind down some of these garden projects. So we have a few new things that we're going to try to put into our garden bed. Molly's going to be here watching from the side, the comfort of the cozy porch. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and just get an early start to our day, planting a few new things. I'm really excited, so let's get right to it. And I found another variety of caladium. And I think I'm going to keep this along the back side of the garden bed. And I'll probably just put this one in between the ones that I already have here. So I'll definitely separate it. Some days I feel like I'm wilting. Like I'm just trying to make it through the hours until the sun finally sets and I can breathe again. But something's been helping. Not fixing everything, not making it all easy, but helping. And that's gardening. It's slow, it's messy, and I'm not even that good at it, but there's something about showing up anyway, even when I'm not motivated, and even when I'd rather just lie down and wait for September. Sometimes I pull a single weed and call it a win. Sometimes I just sit and look at what's grown without doing anything. And honestly, that counts too. I'm learning to honor the seasons of myself, even the ones that feel uncomfortable, quiet, or hard to love. I may not bloom in the summer the way some people do, but that doesn't mean I'm not growing. So if this season is hard for you too, if you feel stuck, heavy, disconnected from your energy or creativity, I want you to know you're not alone. You don't have to be thriving every season. Sometimes surviving is enough. Sometimes watering one plant is enough. And that little effort, that little breath of care, it matters. I'm still here, you're still here, and that's something. That's a start. Recently, we celebrated my big sister's birthday with a little adventure to a nearby town. Just the three of us, my mom, my sister, and me, and of course, Molly, my ever-enthusiastic puppy. We started with lunch at a Mexican restaurant, delicious, comforting food that felt just right for the day. And after lunch, we went thrifting at this amazing, huge Goodwill. It was one of those places full of surprises, old treasures, and quirky finds waiting to be discovered. The prices here seemed a bit high to me, so I was very selective on what I chose to buy and carefully considered whether I needed something to avoid impulse buying. Some good laughs in there too, because you just never know what silly treasures or peculiar items you're going to find while thrifting. It's all thrill of the hunt and a great way to decompress if you're feeling stressed or anxious. Of course, we had to stop for iced coffee at a charming little coffee shop, a perfect pause to catch our breath, laugh, and just be together. And to top it all off, we visited Popple Farms, a place I'd always wanted to go. Bins of fresh produce, seasonal treats, and that warm, earthy farm feeling. It was the kind of day that reminds me why I treasure these moments with family. Simple things, good food, shared laughter, fresh air, and little adventures, they all turn into memories that brighten even the toughest seasons. That day wasn't just a birthday celebration. It was a reminder that connection and joy are always close by. Sometimes you just have to go out and find them. You remember earlier in the video, I mentioned that I had a project involving stone pavers? Well, here we are. I had to readdress this area where we installed the hose reel and give it a little more landscaping appeal. I needed to rework the ground and prepare it for fresh pine straw. I knew these pavers would be a great addition. Since the ground tends to get wet and soggy here, I can use these pavers to walk on to prevent from sloshing in the mud, and I love how these stones provide a nice border around the base of the post. I can't forget to mention one of the biggest milestones of the season. Molly turned 1 year old. My sweet, silly, sunshiny puppy is officially a year old, and I didn't film much, but I still wanted to share a little bit about her special day. I decorated the cottage in a whimsical Cape Cod coastal theme because of course I did. And I gave her the cutest little lobster toy, which she adores. The cake had strawberries, and yes, I made a tiny lobster out of strawberries for the top. Because if you can't be a little extra for your dog's birthday, then when can you? It was such a happy, love-filled day, and Molly has brought so much light and laughter, and it just felt right to celebrate her in our own little cottagecore way. She's 1 now, and somehow I love her even more. This garden, tiny as it is, has become more than a hobby. It's become a space where I get to experiment, to care for something, to learn and mess up and try again. It's not a big yard, and I have to get creative with it. There's always a battle for sunlight and space to properly display all the containers and garden beds that I want to make room for. But I've started to enjoy that challenge, making the most of every corner, every square foot of soil or pot, and it turns out you can grow a lot in a small space. And when I say grow, I don't just mean plants, but growth in and of ourselves, it seems. Even in a season where I don't feel at my best, even when I'm drained, uninspired, or sweating through my shirt, this little patch of green gives me something to look forward to. It reminds me that not all growth looks the same, that you don't have to feel on all the time, and that maybe, just maybe, the version of me who finds peace in a garden is a version worth leaning into. So yeah, I guess I'm a garden person now. I didn't see it coming, but I'm so glad that I stuck around long enough to find it out. One of the things that surprised me this year, something that really moved me, was getting to harvest blackberries right off my own land. It wasn't some big dramatic moment. No one told me they were ready. In fact, I almost missed them. I walked past them more than once, distracted by heat or weeds or just my own thoughts. And then one day I noticed, tucked into the brambles, ripe, perfect blackberries just waiting. There was something incredibly grounding about that. To be able to harvest something the land offered me without asking for much in return, it kind of felt like a gift. It reminded me of the joy that comes from paying attention, from slowing down, from remembering that sometimes the earth gives quietly, and if we're not looking, we miss it. It made me think about how much life is like that, how the most rewarding things aren't always loud or obvious. Sometimes joy is just a handful of warm berries you didn't expect. Sometimes growth shows up on the edges of your attention, and you only find it if you're still enough to notice. So if this season is hard for you too, know that it's okay. You can still grow in tight spaces, and you can still make something beautiful in a season that doesn't feel like yours. And that honestly is enough.